"You're not my husband. You don't control me," she told me arrogantly, her voice loud enough for the whole trendy bar to hear, right after I caught her giving her number to the tattooed bartender. We were engaged, our wedding venue booked, and $4,000 paid. But those words were the exact permission I needed. I didn't shout. I didn't argue. I simply walked out and spent the next 3 hours systematically dismantling every single corner of my life from the apartment we shared. When Scarlett finally returned from the club at 3 a.m., the devastating silence of the empty living room was the answer she never expected, a finality more profound than any angry word. "My name is Jake. I'm 29, and this happened a few months ago. I'm not telling this from a place of sadness, but from a tranquility similar to what you feel when you eliminate a virus from your computer and everything runs smoothly again." It started on a Saturday night. We were at a trendy bar with our usual group, my friend Travis, his friend Hannah, and some other acquaintances. We had been together for 4 years and engaged for 8 months. The wedding was scheduled for June. I had already put down $4,000 just to reserve the ceremony venue. Remember that number, $4,000. As soon as we arrived, Scarlett didn't take her eyes off her phone. At first, it didn't surprise me. She was glued to that screen. But there was a subtle difference that I recognized. The angle at which she held the phone, that small, disguised smile, that was a sign. I had seen that exact behavior before, at my company's Christmas party when she disappeared into the restroom for 45 minutes while her phone vibrated nonstop. At a dinner the week before when she insisted on sitting with her back to me to get a better view of the place. Or last month when she changed her password and told me it was for privacy. When we finally sat down to dinner, she ordered a mojito. I, who had to drive, settled for a Coke and started chatting with Travis about his new job. But Scarlett kept getting up. First it was the restroom, then to take a call, then to check if the drinks were coming, even though ours were already served. The third time she got up, I decided to watch her closely. She walked straight to the bar. The bartender was young, with tattooed arms and a man bun, the perfect image of the typical guy who makes a living off craft cocktails and rehearsed phrases. She leaned over the bar, played with her hair, and laughed with that fake tone I know too well. He wrote something on a napkin, and she, smiling, put it in her purse. A phone number. All this less than 20 feet away from me. When she returned to the table, she had her phone in her hand again. Travis looked at me without saying a word, but his expression said it all. "Are you seeing the same thing I am?" I waited a few minutes and asked her calmly, "Who's the bartender?" "Nobody," she replied without looking up from her phone. "Nobody has a name." Then she looked at me with that annoyed expression that had appeared more frequently lately. "Why do you care?" "Just curious," I said. "His name is Logan," she finally answered. Of course, Logan. The name fit him perfectly. I asked her what they talked about, and the atmosphere at the table immediately changed. Hannah bowed her head and pretended to concentrate on her salad. Travis feigned checking his phone to avoid the tension. Scarlett raised her voice. "Are you seriously starting this? We were just talking, Jake. I have the right to talk to whoever I please." I didn't say anything else. I took a sip of my drink, but she didn't stop. Her voice started rising as if she wanted everyone in the restaurant to hear. "You always do this. You look at me like you have some kind of right over me, as if just because we're engaged, you have to control me. I am not your property." Several people at nearby tables began staring. I tried to keep my composure. Travis tried to intervene, but she cut him off sharply. She pointed her finger at me, her face red. "We are not married. You have no right to tell me who I can or cannot talk to, or who I can give my number to." The silence that followed was heavy. It was the kind of statement there's no coming back from. "So, you gave him your number," I said. "Yes, because we're not spouses, and I don't belong to you." At that moment, everything became clear. I took what was left of my drink, left a $100 bill on the table, more than enough to cover my part, and stood up. "You're right, Scarlett. We're not married." "Where are you going?" she asked, surprised. "Home. We're done for today." "You're leaving dinner just because I talked to a bartender?" "No. I'm leaving because you gave your number to another man while wearing my ring." She turned red with rage. "Don't you dare walk out on me." "Watch me," I replied, and walked out without looking back. Travis caught up with me in the parking lot. "Are you okay, man?" "Better than I've been in months," I told him, though I was shaking inside. I felt that mix of nervousness and determination that appears when you know you're about to make a big decision. I sat in the car, took a deep breath, and thought for 20 minutes. The calm that came after was almost strange. It's like watching a Jenga tower that you've been holding up for months finally fall. Yes, it's a disaster, but at least you don't have to pretend it was stable anymore. And no, it wasn't just about the bartender. It's never just one thing. It was the accumulation of every small sign I chose to ignore. And that night, in front of everyone, she gave me the confirmation I needed. It took me weeks to book that dinner. I had to call 2 months in advance and spend over half an hour on the phone to secure a table. I left work at 3 p.m., 3 hours earlier than usual, just to be on time. When I got home, she wasn't there. I tried calling her. Nothing. Finally, at 9 p.m., she texted me that she had gone out for drinks with her coworkers, had lost track of time, and had also left her phone in her gym locker. The most ironic thing is that this wasn't the first sign. A week earlier, she posted an Instagram story after midnight. It was a simple selfie, but in the background, a clearly unfamiliar apartment was visible. It wasn't ours or anyone I knew. When I asked her about it, she told me I was exaggerating, that the guy was just a friend from the gym, and that I needed to work on my trust issues. She accused me of making her feel guilty for having a social life. A month before that, we went to my brother's wedding. She spent the entire ceremony complaining about how boring it was, that she didn't know anyone, and that weddings were a waste of money. At the reception, she was glued to her phone the entire time, but none of that affected me as much as the money issue. I earn about $90,000 a year as a software engineer. She earns $35,000 as a social media coordinator, which actually means posting stories for a lifestyle brand. We had been living together for 2 years in an apartment in my name, with the idea of splitting expenses. In theory, the rent was shared, but in practice, I ended up paying 70% because I earned more. When I suggested splitting it equally, she cried and said it was unfair, that relationships weren't about keeping score, and that if I truly loved her, money shouldn't matter. And like a fool, I agreed. In addition to the rent, I also covered all the bills: internet, electricity, water, gas. Everything was in my name, on my accounts, with my money. She was supposed to send me her share each month via Venmo, but in 6 months, she accumulated $2,500 in unpaid requests. Every time I reminded her, she had a new excuse. I didn't see it. My account is weird. I'll pay you next week. A week that never came. But when she wanted money, requests instantly appeared, sometimes with messages that seemed like orders. For shared rides I had paid for Ubers she ordered when bringing her friends over, or even for absurd things. The most surreal was when she sent me a $50 request for emotional labor after an argument she herself had started. I paid it, thinking it was a joke. It wasn't. When she needed a new car after wrecking her credit card, or when she planned a trip with her friends to Cabo, suddenly we were a serious couple and needed to support each other. And like a fool, I always agreed. That night, I arrived at the apartment, the one we shared, although my portion felt heavier and heavier, and she still hadn't returned. In the group chat, I saw that she had stayed at the bar and planned to go to a club. Of course she did, I thought. I started going through every corner, mentally taking inventory. My couch, I bought it 3 years before meeting her. A $2,000 sectional leather sofa I saved for months to buy. My TV, a 65-inch OLED I bought myself for Christmas. She had called it an irresponsible expense just 2 weeks before asking for my help to pay her card. Entertainment center, coffee table, bookshelf, sound system, console, all mine. Kitchen table, hers, but a cheap, unstable IKEA one with mismatched chairs that she had bought on a marketplace. Bed, frame mine. Mattress, half and half, but I covered 70%. Bedding, pillows, blankets, all mine. The reality hit me hard. 90% of what was in that apartment was paid for by me. She brought practically nothing but problems and money requests. I took out my phone, opened the Notes app, and started documenting every item, every receipt I found, every message where she promised to pay. Then I transferred everything to a spreadsheet. 3 columns: item, purchase date, amount. I searched my email, retrieved Amazon receipts, furniture store invoices, utility bills. I saved screenshots of her excuses on Venmo and the messages where she said, "Next week. Sofa, $2,100. TV, $800. I still have the box. Coffee maker, $600. Warranty in my name. Knife set, $400. A gift from my aunt, still with the card. Bed, $900. Purchased before meeting her. I took photos of serial numbers and organized all the evidence as if preparing a legal case. My phone vibrated. Messages in the group chat. Scarlett is really upset. Someone should check on her, Hannah wrote. Maybe Scarlett should check on herself, Travis replied. Then she started calling me. I silenced the call. Messages arrived. Where are you? You can't just leave like that. I'm coming home. We need to talk. I looked at the time. 11:40 p.m. If she followed her pattern, she wouldn't be back before 3 a.m. In the last 3 weeks, she had arrived at that time, accusing me of being controlling every time I asked where she was. I texted Travis, "Do you still have your truck?" "Yes." "Why?" "I need a big favor." "I'm on my way, bro." He arrived at 12:30 a.m. I already had trash bags full of clothes, boxes of books, and the essentials packed. He didn't ask questions. He just looked at me and said, "Where do we start?" That's Travis, a true friend. We started with the sofa, that monster that required 3 people to carry when I bought it. Taking it down cost us sweat and curses, but we did it. It barely fit in the truck, but we secured it with straps. "Are you completely sure about this?" he asked while we tied it down. "I've never been more sure of anything," I replied. We went back for the TV, the entertainment center, the console, the desk, the bookshelf my parents had given me, every object that was mine. By 2 a.m., we had made 3 complete trips. The apartment looked like a set after a looting. Holes in the walls where pictures once hung, empty spaces where furniture once stood, and a strange, almost awkward silence, as if even the air had left with me. "Wow," Travis muttered as he looked around. "Looks like a tornado hit." "No," I replied without looking away. "Just me." We started with the kitchen. I focused on every item as if I were dismantling my life piece by piece. I took my $600 Breville coffee maker, the one I bought with my first work bonus when I still dreamed of having a stable, shared home. We wrapped it carefully, as if it were a newborn. Scarlett used it every morning but never cleaned it. She never bought beans. She didn't even bother to understand how it worked. I also packed my Japanese steel knives, sharpened patiently, the cast iron pans I seasoned for years, my good dishware, and the heavy steel cutlery I bought when I first moved out. I left her the bent forks, the supermarket plates, and the chipped mugs she always said were fine. Travis laughed, seeing how delicately I protected the coffee maker. "She's going to flip when she sees you took that," he said, sounding both amused and surprised. "Perfect," I answered without hesitation. "Let her start paying for something for the first time in her life." The bathroom was the same. I took my thick towels, my grooming products, my expensive cologne, my electric shaver. I left her endless little bottles of cosmetics, the ones that filled the shelves but ultimately meant nothing. Then I reached the bedroom, and it hit me like a brick to the chest. The ring. Her engagement ring was not on her finger, not on her hand as when she promised forever, but abandoned on a small dish next to the bed. A jewel that should symbolize a bond, but, in her case, only represented indifference. "It's heavy," she used to say. "It gets in the way at the gym." The same gym where guys appeared in her midnight stories with those laughs and poses that feigned innocence. That ring cost me $8,000. I saved an entire year to buy it. I went to 4 jewelers. I custom designed it. The proposal was at the restaurant where we had our first date. Warm lights, soft music, her crying with emotion. A memory etched in my mind as something untouchable. And now it was there, as if it meant nothing. I calmly picked it up, watched it sparkle under the dim bedside light, and put it in my pocket. This time, I didn't tremble. As we were about to take out the last of my things, Travis broke the silence. "What about the bills? What are you going to do with all that?" "You're right. The bills." I sat on the floor in the middle of the empty living room. The echo sounded strange without my furniture. I took out my phone and checked them one by one. Internet, electricity, water, gas. All the bills were in my name, all charged to my accounts, all maintained by me while she pretended we were a team. I took screenshots of every detail and sent them to her email with a single message. You have 1 week to transfer everything to your name. After that, service will be cut off. And then came a mischievous, almost childish, but terribly satisfying impulse. I logged into our shared accounts: Netflix, Hulu, HBO, Disney+, Spotify, all paid with my card. I changed the passwords one by one. I updated the payment method with an empty prepaid card. In a week, when the charges fail, her bubble will burst. Goodbye, series. Goodbye, music. Welcome to 2005. But my favorite act came next. I went through the apartment and collected all the phone chargers. The good ones, the long ones, the fast-charging ones she used every night to watch TikTok in bed until 3 a.m. I put them in a bag like loot. I left her only one, the worst one, the broken cable that barely works if you adjust it at an exact angle and don't touch it, the one that charges 2% per hour and disconnects if you breathe near it. Travis doubled over laughing. That's wicked. No, I corrected. It's poetic justice. She can buy her own, just like the coffee maker. This is going to bother her more than anything else. And he was right. I could mentally see her cursing that cable as her phone died at 2 a.m. Before closing the door, I looked for a piece of paper, the back of an old envelope, and wrote just one line. You're right. I'm not this. I left it on the empty table. It was my silent goodbye. At 3 a.m., we left. I didn't look back. I closed the door calmly, slid my key underneath, and walked away. Travis drove, and I watched the city lights fade, feeling a strange mix of relief, vertigo, and exhaustion. At 3:30 a.m., my phone vibrated for the first time, then again, and again, and again. Where are we going? Travis asked. First to the storage unit, then I need a place to stay for a few days. You can stay with me. I have a spare room. Thank you. Truly. Don't thank me. We all saw how she treated you. Yeah, I sighed. Hannah even talked to her weeks ago. And what did Scarlett say? That she didn't care about me. What nerve. Travis shook his head. When I finally checked my phone, I had 42 missed calls and 83 messages, and they all followed a predictable script. First, confusion. Where are you? Then, rage. Did you really take the couch? I can't believe you took the coffee maker too. Then, manipulation. I never gave him my number. You're exaggerating. You're imagining things. Later, blame. This is because I have male friends. You're insecure. And finally, pleading. Forgive me. Can we go to therapy? Please answer. I knew her too well. It was the playbook she always used when things didn't go her way. I captured every message and then blocked her. The silence that followed was perfect, almost physical. I couldn't sleep. I spent the night in Travis's guest room watching the fan spin in circles. Click, click, click. Each turn reminded me that there was no going back. At 8 a.m., I got up, showered, and looked in the mirror. My face was exhausted, but I was breathing easier. It was as if I had carried a sack full of bricks for years and had finally set it down. I checked my phone again. Scarlett was trying to contact me from every number she knew. Her mother, her sister, Hannah, unknown numbers that were obviously hers. The messages had that desperate tone that mixed manipulation with panic. This is crazy. You can't leave like this. We're getting married. My mom says you're having a crisis. The hall reservation is non-refundable. We're going to lose $4,000. And the most ridiculous of all, I know you still love me. And there, amidst that digital avalanche, I realized that I didn't. What I loved was left behind, right where I left that broken charger and the coffee maker. The only thing I felt now was freedom. The message arrived early in the morning. My dad wants to talk to you about this. You owe us an explanation. I replied from a number I hadn't saved. Check your email. I've already sent you proof of everything. The Venmo requests, the messages, a log with exact dates and times of every time you came home after 2 a.m. Also the screenshots of your Instagram stories and your entire conversation with the gym guy from the last 2 months. If you want to involve your parents, be prepared because I have plenty of proof. There was no response to that message. Travis made coffee and handed me a cup. So, what are you going to do now? He asked. For now, stay out of it and let her sweat. Long term, move, start over, and hopefully improve my judgment in choosing partners. His phone vibrated nonstop. She's flooding the group chat with messages. Travis told me. And what's she saying? That you abandoned her, that you stole all the furniture, and that you're being abusive. I let out a dry laugh. What irony. Yeah, Travis said. Hannah is backing her up along with a couple of others, but most people are asking her what really happened. I already showed them the Venmo request screenshots, how she was out until 4 a.m. every weekend. And I also mentioned Logan. You didn't have to do that. Of course I did. I'm not going to let her manipulate the story when she's the one who ruined everything. Then my phone rang. It was Robert, Scarlett's father. I answered. Hello, son. What is going on here? He asked in a severe tone. Scarlett told you I left. Did she also tell you that in front of me and our friends she gave her number to another man? Did she mention that she said she didn't owe me loyalty because we weren't married yet? I added. Silence. No, Robert admitted. Robert, I have screenshots, Venmo requests from the last 6 months, messages and logs with dates. If you want the full story, I'll send it to you right now. He let out a long sigh, the sigh of someone who already knows the truth but doesn't want to admit it. Send it to me, he said. I hung up and immediately forwarded the entire payment history. The messages where she canceled plans at the last minute, the stories with location and time, and the entire conversation with the other guy that I found on her iPad, which was still connected to her Instagram account. They always forget the tablets. The conversation was revealing. 2 months of flirting, complaints about me, accusations that I was controlling, confessions that she felt trapped and doubted the marriage. The guy, being a good opportunist, kept telling her she deserved better, and she believed it. A phrase from 3 weeks ago hit me hard. Sometimes I think I'm just marrying him because it's easier than starting over. I sent that fragment to Robert separately. This is what your daughter thinks of me. It took him almost an hour to respond. I'm sorry, son. I didn't know she was like this. It's not your fault, but I'm done with this. The wedding is canceled. I will request that Scarlett reimburse me for the venue deposit, and I want the ring back. I understand, was his only response. The following days were a storm. Scarlett started with sweet messages, friends and acquaintances texting me that she missed me, that she had made a mistake and wanted to fix things. I didn't respond. Then came the fury. She showed up at my job shouting in reception that I had stolen everything from her. Security had to escort her out of the building. Human Resources called me. I showed them the invoices and proof of purchase. They apologized and made a record in case she returned. Then she tried to go to the police. He stole my things, she said. I emailed them the same documents, photos of serial numbers, invoices, and bank statements. The officers quickly dismissed her. This is a civil matter. Stop wasting our time. Her next move was more public. She posted a long, melodramatic text on Facebook. She accused me of emotional abuse, isolating her from her friends and controlling her money before abandoning her. At first, some people pitied her until Travis showed up with the screenshots. In her post, Scarlett wrote, I gave him 4 years of my life, and he threw me away over one mistake. They called 2 months of emotional infidelity one mistake. When someone asked what happened, she replied, he got jealous because I talked to a man at a bar, packed everything, and left me with nothing. Travis retorted with proof. Here's the Venmo history showing she owed me $2,500. Here are the messages where she admits she gave her number out. Here's the lease contract in his name, and here are the furniture receipts. She didn't buy anything. The reaction was immediate. Her story began to crumble in real time. She edited the post twice. First, she removed the part about the furniture. Then she said she wasn't going to air her private life. Finally, she deleted everything. But it was too late. Travis had saved screenshots. And then came the most delicious part. She couldn't afford the apartment alone. Breaking the lease meant paying a penalty of 3 months' rent, $6,000. She didn't have that money. She called me from her number. I need money, she said without even a greeting. What for? I asked. For the lease. I can't pay it alone. That's not my problem. You can't just leave me here. Watch me do it. I ended the call. She didn't call again, but Robert did. I will cover the cost, he said, but I ask for something in return. What is it? Meet with Scarlett just once. She needs closure. Her mother is worried. I am too. Just one conversation, and then you can walk away forever. For a moment, I considered simply disappearing, blocking everyone, erasing my number, removing every trace of myself from her circle, and pretending I never existed. The idea tempted me because, after all, the peace I had since she left was stronger than any need for explanation. And although a large part of me wanted to move on without looking back, there was another, quieter but insistent part that wanted to close that chapter by seeing her face to face. I wanted her to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that she no longer controlled me. So I agreed to one conversation in a neutral location, and after that, we would each go our separate ways. No drama, no second chances, just clean closure. The meeting was at a small neighborhood coffee shop, one of those with the aroma of freshly ground beans and creaky wooden tables. I arrived 5 minutes late on purpose, not because I cared about making a good or bad impression, but because I didn't owe punctuality to someone who had lied to me for months. She was already there. Her face revealed more than any words. Dark circles, carelessly tied back hair, wrinkled clothes. She looked like a withered version of who she once pretended to be. I ordered a black coffee, no sugar, and sat down opposite her. She held her hands around her cup as if seeking refuge in the warmth. She wrung her fingers, avoiding my gaze. "I don't even know where to begin," she finally said, her voice trembling. "Start anywhere," I replied calmly, resting my elbows on the table. "I don't understand why you left like that," she whispered. "You didn't even try to talk to me." I took a deep breath. The words weren't difficult to find, they just had to come out. "You were at a club with your friends, including Logan, the bartender, I assume." Her expression changed. She tensed up as if someone had pulled an invisible thread. "You don't know that." "Yes, I do. And I also saw the messages with the other guy." The color drained from her face, her lips slightly parted, as if searching for a quick excuse. "You went through my things. It's my iPad. I pay the data plan, and yes, I saw all of them." "I was just venting," she murmured, lowering her voice. "You told him you were only marrying me because it was easier than starting over," I retorted without hesitation. It was as if I had hit her without touching her. She closed her eyes, clenched her jaw. "I didn't mean it that way." "Yes, you did. And thank you for being honest with someone, even if it wasn't with me." "You don't understand, Hunter. I do love you," she insisted, half crying. "No, Scarlett. You love having a wedding to show off. You love the idea of a ring on your finger and people congratulating you. You love feeling like the main character. But me? You don't love me." Her voice cracked further. "That's not true." "Then tell me, what is my mother's name?" Absolute silence. She didn't even try to guess. "And my middle name," I insisted. She lowered her gaze and started stirring her coffee without saying a word. 4 years. Scarlett, 4 years together, and you don't even know the most basic things about me. My voice sounded calmer than I felt. "But you remembered your friend's birthday 3 weeks ago, right? Meanwhile, you forgot our anniversary, without even a message." Several people in the coffee shop began to discreetly turn their heads. Her tears were no longer silent. "I made a mistake," she stammered, barely audible. "No," I said slowly. "This wasn't a mistake. It was a chain of selfish decisions. Months of contempt, of treating me as a source of money and stability while you sought excitement elsewhere." She tried to interrupt me, but I raised a hand. "No, let me finish. What destroyed me the most wasn't what you did with someone else. It was how you made me feel. Every time I noticed something strange, you made me believe I was the problem. You called me jealous, insecure, controlling. You made me doubt my own judgment while you fed another story in secret. I read everything, Scarlett, every message. You said I was boring, that I didn't understand you, that you felt trapped. You said you would only stay with me until you fixed your finances. That was 4 months ago." She paled even more. She hadn't expected me to know that part. "Do you know your biggest mistake?" I continued. "Believing you could have it all. That you could stay with me for security while looking for new options, as if I were a piece of furniture you could put on pause." I leaned back, staring fixedly at her. "You owe me almost $2,500 in utility bills you never paid. You canceled plans with me at least a dozen times in 6 months. You take off the engagement ring more than you wear it. You post stories from other guys' apartments at midnight, and when I ask, you call me paranoid. I have friends. I have my own life," she said, her voice trembling. "And so do I replied. "But I don't play with your trust or disrespect you." "What do you want me to say?" she sobbed. Nothing. There is nothing you can say that will change this. I just want you to understand that this is over. When she reached out, seeking my hand, I pulled mine away. It wasn't a scene of reconciliation. It was a closure. Hunter, She began in desperation. That's enough, I said firmly. Your father will pay the rest of the lease contract. I'm keeping the ring. We each go our separate ways. I stood up, left money on the table, and walked out without looking back. She didn't run after me. She stood on the sidewalk, trembling, crying, with her hands on her face. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel guilty. My phone didn't ring for the rest of the day. 3 weeks later, my life was already different. I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment in a better neighborhood, 10 minutes from my job. Everything was in my name, and the deposit was fully paid. Finally, a space of my own. The couch fit perfectly in the living room. The TV looked custom-made on the wall, and my coffee maker, my blessed coffee maker, shone on the counter every morning. Every time I used it, I remembered that this new stage was mine and no one else's. I was sleeping well, eating well, working out again. I started recovering routines I had let die when my relationship began to crumble. I had even met someone, a girl from the gym, who had invited me for coffee. She was fun, easy to talk to, and beautiful. It wasn't serious, but it was freedom, and that was enough. The true ending arrived on a Thursday night. I had finished working out and was cooking chicken and rice when my phone rang. Unknown number. I usually don't answer, but for some reason I did this time. Hello? I said. There was silence, then a ragged breath. I need help. It was Scarlett's voice. Wrong number, I replied and was about to hang up. Wait, please, I'm serious. I need help. There was a tone in her voice I had never heard before. It wasn't manipulation, wasn't flirtation disguised as pleading. It was real fear, desperation. What kind of help? I asked, even though I knew I shouldn't get involved. I'm in trouble, truly, she cried. Call someone else. I don't have anyone. My parents aren't talking to me. Hannah blocked me, she said, choked with tears. I had no one else to turn to. Please, I need to talk to you. I don't have anywhere to go. Let me explain everything. The voice on the other end of the phone was trembling. Every part of me screamed that the best thing was to hang up, block the number, and continue with my life. I had no obligation to listen to her, but there was a tone in her voice that sounded like genuine fear. Against my better judgment, I took a deep breath and replied, Where are you? She gave me the address of an old diner on the east side of the city. It wasn't a dangerous place, but it wasn't the kind of place where one feels comfortable either. I'll be there in 20 minutes, I finally said. Before hanging up, I made things clear. This is the last time, Scarlett. Whatever it is after this, it's over. Don't ever contact me again. Yes. I understand. Thank you, truly. I took my keys, got in the car, and drove with only one question repeating in my head. What the hell am I doing? When I arrived, she was sitting in a booth at the back of the place. She looked even more distraught than the last time I saw her. I sat down opposite her without saying a word. She looked down and whispered, I'm in financial trouble. How much? $25,000. I let out a short, incredulous laugh. $25,000? How on earth did you manage that? Credit cards, personal loans. I thought I could pay it, that everything would turn out fine. Her voice trailed off into silence. But I can't. Collectors call me every day. They threaten lawsuits. They want to garnish my wages. My credit is destroyed. And you're going to tell me that you want me to get you out of this, right? No, I don't know. I just needed to tell someone. Then, as if trying to justify everything, she added tearfully, My parents turned their backs on me when they found out about Logan. They paid the lease termination fee, and 2 days later, I moved in with him. I thought it would be different. You moved into his apartment 2 days later? Yes, she laughed bitterly. It didn't last a month. He said it was too much drama for him. I guess he was smarter than I was, I replied dryly. I don't know what to do. I work 2 jobs. I barely cover the minimum payments. I moved back into my college apartment. I can't take it anymore. I looked at her fixedly. I felt no pity. I felt no anger. I felt nothing. No, Scarlett. You chose every step that brought you here. You lived as if nothing had consequences. You closed every door you had, and now you are facing the consequences. She clenched her fists on the table. Then why did you come? I have no idea. Maybe because, honestly, I'm enjoying seeing you face what you caused yourself a little. Her face flushed. Are you making a scene? I replied calmly. Her tears returned. I know I ruined everything. I don't deserve your help, but I beg you. I'll do anything. Anything? I asked. Yes. I took out my phone, opened a document I had been preparing for weeks, and pushed it toward her. What is this? A detailed breakdown of every penny you owe me. Rent difference, shared expenses, loan for your car, the canceled wedding deposit, all with 5% interest. The total sum is around $22,000. She looked at me as if she didn't understand. You want me to pay you? No, I want you to sign. I took out another document. It's a promissory note. We'll have it notarized tomorrow. You commit to paying it back. Paying you $50 a month. Exactly. At that rate, it will take you almost 37 years, and I'll probably never see the full amount. But every month when you make that payment, you'll remember everything you lost. This is cruel, isn't it? Cruel would be letting you keep believing that there will always be someone to clean up your messes. This isn't punishment. It's memory. You wanted independence? Well, this is what it feels like. I stood up and left both documents on the table. Sign it or don't, I don't care. But if you refuse, I'll file a civil lawsuit. I have receipts, screenshots, witnesses, and proof. You will lose, and your credit will get even worse. Before leaving, I added, oh, and that ring you tossed aside like garbage? I sold it. I got $7,200 for it. With that, I paid for a trip to Japan. I'm leaving next month, 2 weeks without thinking about you for a second. I turned and walked out, leaving her with her decisions facing her. An hour later, when I was home and silence filled every corner, my phone vibrated. It wasn't a call, it was an image, the signed promissory note. Not a single extra message, no thanks, no explanation. Just the trembling signature that sealed her new reality. The next day, we had it notarized without any words more than necessary. There were no arguments or tears. She simply signed, like someone accepting that there were no more cards left to play. 2 months passed. I returned from Japan with a tan, a smile I hadn't had in years, and a lightness I didn't know I could feel. One typical morning while making coffee, my phone made that small notification sound. It was a deposit, $50. The first installment, accompanied by 2 words that might have made me hesitate at another time. I'm sorry. I didn't reply. I didn't feel the need to. I saved the money in an account meant for unimportant things, like a silent reminder that my peace is priceless. Since then, every monthly payment arrives punctually, almost like clockwork. It's not about the money. It never was. It's about the certainty that, for the first time in a long time, I am in control of my story. Oh, and that coffee maker is still intact. Every morning, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee reminds me that I survived her, and while she bears the consequences of her decisions, I wake up every day in absolute calm.